Hello, folks. Welcome back to VCV Rack Instruments and Effects. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In this episode, we're going to see how you can use VCV Rack in order to create wave sounds, basically ocean waves hitting the shore. And we're going to do it in such a way where they sound pretty realistic, still somewhat synthetic, but pretty realistic and a little bit more natural with variation so that there isn't just this constant regularity. I have been making ocean wave sounds recently for my new playlist that I put up for sound, for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. I released 3 pieces. All 3 of them utilize ocean waves, and some of them use other tools for relaxation. And yeah, so since I've been doing that, I thought maybe I'd do an episode showing how to make the wave sounds. So without any further ado, let's get to the subject. Before we get started with VCV Rack, I just wanted to show you the aforementioned videos, and well, they're really, I call them sound experiences. This is the first one, just ocean waves. This is the second one that has ocean waves plus binaural beating, which helps to create a delta wave brain state. So that's conducive to sleep and can also be used in meditation as well that way, and definitely for relaxation, especially if you do fall asleep. And then the third one has the ocean waves, the binaural beats, and it also has what I call ASMR tones, synthesized tones. There's no speaking or whispering or any of that kind of stuff, but tones that at least I felt a meridian response from because of the frequency being used and their articulation. Very relaxing. And as time goes on, I'm going to maintain them in this playlist. It's called Sound for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. And here on the main page, I have it under my Meditations multiple playlist section. But anytime things change in the future, you can always find my playlists from the playlist tab and just look for the playlist you're looking for. And I'll have these on my website very shortly at thewayfarerproject.com. Just finished them. So in any case, here we go. Here's the VCV Rack patch for the ocean waves. And I do utilize the same patch in the other 2 pieces where the ocean waves are still a part of it. It also has this visualizer here that I can call up. This is the visualization that's utilized in the video. Now, for relaxation and sleep and definitely meditation, I mean, having a screen in front of your face is not necessarily a good idea, but since YouTube is a video platform, I felt I should put something in. It can at least, provide ambient light in the room, kind of like a night light, and you don't really need to look at it. But I, wanted to include something so it wasn't just like a still image sitting there the whole time. But it is a listening experience, basically. I'm going to close this window because that won't be part of the explanation. But the visualizer is being driven by this module over here from the RPJ library of modules, which are free modules. A lot of great filters in that set too, but it has this visualization module that is based on Project M, an open source visualization for audio project, and a bunch of developers have developed. Oh man, it's like an seemingly endless list of different visualizations. And I selected a few and combined some together a little bit in the videos, just for a little bit of something to look at, or at least some good ambient light for the room while you are trying to relax, meditate, or sleep. So anyway, I'm going to turn up the master knob here, and so we can hear our ocean waves. One can obviously set the volume of the recording to the level that is most appropriate. I'm keeping it strong enough so folks can kind of hear it. If you'll notice, it's not like just this regular pattern at the same exact interval each time the tide comes to shore. Unfortunately, no seagulls, but that's something I'm going to have to work on. So anyway, I'm going to turn it down for now. And what I'm going to do is, rather than building it just purely from scratch, I'm just going to remove the cables. And I forget what the keystroke is, but there's a clear all cables command here. I think it's Control J. I thought it was under Edit. Sorry for the pause here. Let me try that. I think it's Control J, Control U, Control D. I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause. It is Control U for Control Unplug right here in the edit menu that I was just looking at. Sorry about that, folks. Well, oh yeah, I missed. There we go. Or let's just try the Control U. Seriously. Oh, I'm hitting Alt U. What the heck? Disconnect cables. I've used this before and it's done it. Is it, do I have like a module selected or something? Let me just tap here in space. Maybe I have a module selected. No. Let's select all. Okay, you got to select them. There you go. All right. It's been a while since I've done that. Okay, and all right, so let's go through and just look at how the modules are used. What's the basic signal flow here? Well, I'm using a mixer here from the Mind Meld library. These are free modules. And there's an 8-channel mixer. There's also a 16-channel mixer. And each mixer has an expander for the aux sends. I'm using the 8-channel version in the 8-channel mixer here. There is also this useful guy right here, basically a parametric EQ that you can use on either 8 channels or 16 channels, and without much cabling mess. I'll show you that hookup right here. Basically, let's zoom in on the mixer. Okay, so we have our 8 channels here. They are stereo inputs or can be mono, depending on whether you have one cable plugged into the left inlet, in which case it'll be mono. If you have a cable plugged into left and right, it'll be stereo. The pan knob will pan the mono signal coming into the setting that you give it. If it's stereo, it'll kind of like either give you more or less of either side that you pan to. So You know, that's how it functions in that case. And there are CV inputs for volume and pan. So your fader and your pan knob here have CV inputs, and I do utilize them. Over here, parametric EQ, we have here insert outs for our mixer channels. Here it is 1 through 8. They're polyphonic in that one cable will carry your 8 channels for the 8 channels we have here. And then you also have group outs, like subgroups, submixes, basically. Here's your 2 submixes, and you select which channels go to either submix down here. I'll do that in a moment because I do utilize that. Well, actually, in this one I don't, because I only have the wave sounds. But basically, you just click a plus sign, you get 1. That means instead of going to the master out, which is the dash, it would go to group 1 here, and then you basically have a separate 2 separate mixes that you can have, group 1 and 2. And so those groups you can send out. It's basically like an insert on the group, and then the actual main group outs are here. But an insert basically means signal coming into the group will go immediately out here and then return here as well. The returns are down here. So it's not like a TRS cable where it does the send and receive, but basically goes out, and insert return, and then it goes through the rest of the channel strip. Same thing with these. 1 through 8 goes out here, comes back in here, and then it continues down the channel strip. Yeah, it's a great way to do some EQing. So I'm going to hook this up red for audio. And 1 through 8. I already have some settings here. Use the knob up here. You can right click on it and just type in a channel number. Channel 1 is this shape here. I'll explain why in a moment, why I'm doing this. But channel 1 is the first channel of 3 that are for these wave sounds. And I might as well put channel 8 down there. It's not being used. Okay, so what's also about this mixer? Here's the expander, the 8 aux sends. The expander begins right here. Let me highlight it. Okay, so this is the mixer, and here's the expander. They wirelessly work together. Basically, these are your aux sends, A, B, C, and D, for each of your channels. So when you look at 1 here, this is channel 1's aux sends A, B, C, and D. Channel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's aux sends for your groups, group 1 and 2. So that's the way that works. Here is your send and receives for these aux sends. And in fact, why don't I do this? I am going to connect them. Red for audio. Here's the send out into the reverb unit. Here's return from the reverb. Not return, that's the right channel send. So here's the return, which connects to the reverb's output. This is just the VCV reverb. This is the reverb that comes with Rack 2 Pro. It's not a free module. It's the only one in this whole set that's not free. But there are other free reverbs out there. I just happen to like the sound of this one. But you can definitely find other free stereo reverbs. In fact, one to try that I do have, EV, is this one here from RCM. This is a free reverb as well. Well, this one is a free reverb. This one from VCV Rack comes with Rack 2 Pro. And yeah, we got some reverbs from Surge XT that sound pretty good too. So Soundstage from VCV is also a paid module. But yeah, the Cowtenja one I wouldn't use. That's mostly for like emulating game sounds and stuff like that. Okay, you can also use a delay. I prefer the reverb in that it gives me more of the sound that I'm looking for. We'll hear it in a minute. We'll hear it dry and then with the reverb. So now the aux sends are hooked up. You just got to remember to turn up the knob for the channel to send signal from that channel to the reverb here. You also need these faders up, which they are by default. They're the master aux sends. And it would be the same with these knobs as well. Just keep them in, I recommend keep them in the unity position, 12 o'clock. Unless you feel the need, you need to boost them or reduce them. But these would be master controls. All three of these would affect the level, but at different stages. The master send level, master return level, and then the master level going to the main mix for aux1 or aux-A as it's called. And that's the one we're using right now. So we'll hear that in a moment. Maybe what I'll do, I click and initialize this so that the sends are not operating right now. We're going to hear things dry first and then with the reverb. So anyway, I have basically, I use 3 different channels for this. The first one is meant to be kind of like just a low noise rumble that gives one the sense of, you know, the presence of the ocean, whether the tide and the waves are coming in or the tide's pulling out. It's kind of like a stable rumble, and I found that I like red noise for that. So this is the noise module from VCV. It's a free module, and basically red noise has a bias towards the a lower frequency area that sounds appropriate for me, like for a low rumble. So we are getting sound here. I'm going to turn up the master slightly. Oh, the mains, that's right. We need to hook up the mains. The main out. Right here. Okay. Red for audio. Lots of red cables here. That's my color coding system. I obviously put the wrong one there. Oh, here it is. Vertical. Left. And we'll hook up the right. Where am I? Right here. There we go. I was seeing some red there. Yeah. So our signal coming in is a little strong. How about this? I'll turn this down a lot and then gradually rise it. Put you around unity. Alrighty. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, if you do click somewhere here accidentally, it'll move the whole thing. So try to focus on grabbing the fader. All right, so you're hearing like a fairly steady rumble there. And this is the EQ for this channel. Because of our send here, well, the insert out being connected, it is going into the EQ, but then I need to connect the output from the EQ back into the channel. And then we should hear the change in spectrum. So this EQ pattern is what we're hearing on the noise there. Basically, I wanted to cut out some of the low rumble. I heard some stuff in this area that I felt could be reduced. I'll turn it back up just so you can hear what that was. There's frequency, here's gain. It's not a totally unpleasant sound, but mixed together with the rest of the wave sound was too much. And then here, yeah, I reduced it less of it this time. But here, this is cutting out some of the higher frequencies. So this is just to provide like a stable kind of like wash that's going to be there. Because the other two components of the wave sounds are going to basically be a left and right rising and falling of the waves, you know. And we'll look at that in a moment. So this is just kind of like a center thing, just like the glue to hold it all together so it doesn't completely go away. Now, we're not completely filtered here. Well, actually, this one doesn't use a filter. The only filtering I have is this, the EQ filter, which does not change. There's no CV inputs for changing your settings here. So it's a set it and forget it sort of thing. But I do use this on levels. And I'm thinking I'm going to try and do this. I was using these originally. I'm going to see if I can go without these. These were basically to limit the range of the LFO. This LFO is going to oscillate 0 to 1 down to 0. If you put it in negative territory, it'll go 0 down to -1 up to 0. And that can be affected here, especially since I use two of them. This one is set to 0.07 hertz. So that's less than 0.1 milliseconds even, or 0.1 seconds, which would be 100 milliseconds. So that's slow. This one's even slower. I have it, I believe, set to 0.034. And what I use is this one to modulate the speed of this one so it's not exactly the same each time. Now I'm going to try and go without these. If not, I'll go into these to set and offset and attenuation. But I was thinking about it. I might not need it. Either way, our control for the level of channel 1 goes here. And so its volume is going to rise and fall with the LFO now. So it's rising and falling every 0.07 seconds. Now you hear it falls away completely there. That's why I was using this to limit the range. This is a Bafaco module that has an attenuator and an offset on each channel. But I was thinking maybe I could try going without it. No, this is its frequency modulation. No, there really isn't an offset on this, so yes, we are going to use the Bafaco module here. So at least you get to compare. We're going to go in here and out here. Basically, I set the offset such that the signal comes in limited to where the attenuator is like its max and the offset is its min, where I don't have it go away all the way. Now that things are EQ'd and stuff, we can turn this up a little bit. So that way, in the center, you're basically hearing kind of like a rise and fall in the waves. but it doesn't completely go away. That would be, the offset would basically be the minimum level, and the attenuation is the max level. Just to avoid cable mess, for the other ones, I just put new modules in, so this bottom set isn't really used, at least not for this channel. I was playing with it a little bit, trying to do a little panning, but it was a little too much. I need this in the center because these other two are going to pan. So now that's rising every 0.07 seconds. But if we do this, this LFO can be modulated. And what I am going to do is turn it down a little bit here. So now every 0.034 milliseconds, you know, this is oscillating, varying the speed of this. So it basically doesn't come in or rise at exactly the same time interval each time. This is especially important when we use the other components of the wave sound. If it sounds too regular, it doesn't sound as natural. And so that's what it's doing. It's varying the time at which this rises and falls. Okay? All right. So we'll let that go. And let's hear how it sounds with a little bit of reverb. Basically, I have the time set, you know, 12 o'clock position. You know, the time interval of the reiterations that make up the reverb, you want it to, you know, just play with it and see what sounds best, especially since this is just waves. I just want it to sound like expansive. And so that's why I have the width all the way up here. So it definitely, if you were using headphones to hear this, when you heard me turn up the send, you probably did hear it expand across the stereo spectrum to sound wider, kind of like an ocean. All right, next we are going to use white noise for, now this is kind of like the sound of the waves actually coming and lapping up against the shore and so forth. We're going to put it into the VCF here, and we're going to come out the low pass filter. But before we do that, let's turn the fader down. Then I'll gradually bring it up. Now, an integral component of this is the cutoff frequency of the VCF. As you see, I set its low point to, I'm not sure what it is in hertz, but I'm not hertz, I mean in, hertz, frequency spectrum stuff. 51 hertz, so that's pretty low. But it's going to rise and fall with the aid of an LFO. So I'm going to plug in cutoff frequency there. I believe this one is also going at 0.07 hertz. And just so it doesn't come in and out at the same exact regular interval, I use this LFO to vary this one. And I think this is set to 0.034 again, something like that. And then what I use are these guys here for a little bit of volume and panning. So what I did is I took you could actually take another output from here, the sine wave, but I think I'd use the triangle, which gave me more of a linear thing, but let's do the triangle, why not? So now this is going to affect the volume of the fader. Now, I don't remember if I totally stuck with this or not. I think I did. But another thing I did was panning. So basically, as the cutoff frequency rises, allowing for more of the higher frequency material, the volume also goes up. And, you know, as the waves are coming into shore, basically. And then the pan also moves it around. So I'm going to hook this up. Basically, I put the center as like where it goes to, and its minimum or its maximum is centered. Its minimum is left. Negative values being sent here are basically going to pan it left. So we hook it up there. And instantly we hear it go to the left side. If you're listening to this on headphones, you'll be able to hear that. Or on speakers that have enough of a separation that you can hear the stereo nature of it. I'll turn this up a little bit more too. But by having this here, as this left side and soon to be right side come in and out, this holds it together that things don't ever just completely disappear. And you can see the indications here as the pan moves. I just heard it pan there a little bit. But it's not always going to be all the way left. Well, actually, one thing I can do, instead of having the pan come out of the same LFO, let's put it out of this one. So that way the pan and the volume are not lined up exactly. It sounds a little more natural that way. All right, now we're basically going to do the same type of thing, but for the right side. Interesting. Let's try that. No, I should use this. Hold on here. Oh, I see. Minimum, centered, to right. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to hook these guys up. Now, you can turn these FM knobs up above the center line if you want it to move a little faster. Once I get them all hooked up, I'll tweak the values a little bit. No, audio goes in here. This guy controls this. Let's hook up the audio from the white noise. Hook the output up here. And actually, no, let's before we hook that up. The fader is down, good. Yeah, I don't want to turn that fader up until I'm ready. So low pass filter. We're going to hook the volume up to the upper attenuator and offset. And then the bottom attenuator and offset is for pan. So I'm going to take another... Hold on. All right. Yeah, the thing that I forgot is I didn't hook this up yet for the VCF. That goes here. And then here... Actually, hold on here. Yeah. Sine wave for the VCF, triangle wave for the level. They're very similar. It doesn't really make a difference, I guess. So let's do this for the panning of this right channel. We're hooked up. Now let's turn it up. These seem to be going pretty slow. I mean, it is relaxing. Maybe a little too slow. Oh, this one I have turned up above. This one I have turned up above. Yeah. So there we have one coming on the right channel. And it is panning as well. Going back to center. And then this one's coming in now. And because they have different variations put on them, I think this one's every 0.34 milliseconds, the varying LFO. This one's every 0.43 seconds. So, yeah, 0.43 and 0.34 seconds, not milliseconds. But this one was sounding a little stronger than this one, so I want to check this out a little bit. So that will mean here. Let's look at the levels. They're about the same. VCF is about the same. Oh, this one is a little bit left. How about we do this? Oh, wait a minute. No, this is the middle. Sorry. Here, this is what we're looking at here. This one compared to this one. Yeah, I think this one is a little low compared to the other. There we go. Yeah, now I'm hearing more on the left. Now, they do need reverb, these two channels. So you can measure them individually. Or you could send these 3 channels to group 1, for example, which means its output is here. It'll go to the main as well because, you know, it's a subgroup. It's like subgrouping it, where you'll have a fader here to control all 3 of those channels, or everything going to group 1. And then the send and return will be here with 1 adjuster basically here for controlling how much is being sent. Here I can basically individualize it. Like if I turn this one down, turn these up, my left-right panning waves are going to sound more expanded than the central wave. But anyway, I think it's sounding pretty good. And so we could probably zoom out a little bit now. I believe I do have some EQ on the channels 2 and 3. 2. Yeah, just a high pass. I'm cutting out the low frequencies down here that are kind of a little bit below wave sound. If you want a little more rumble, you can get it. Like I could lower this frequency a little bit. So now we're getting a little bit more rumble on those. Can also do it on this guy here, since that one's always present to some degree. Oh, this one's at 36 hertz. Maybe I should make the other ones 36. There we go. And we go to 3. I love this Mind Meld mixer. The mixer, the aux sends, and this, I mean, there's even a second set here, so you can use this with the 16-channel mixer. Parametric EQ on each channel. And you could daisy chain this with another module as well. Basically, an envelope right here. This has the same type of up to 16 in, 16 out. So that basically I could be shaping what happens to the amplitude on each channel. So there we go. Let's bring up our visualizer here. Full screen it. Well, or try. Okay. I might as well, since we've come this far, show you the other two patches, although I won't go into as much detail. If anybody would like me to do some more talk about binaural beating or the tones that I'm using in this other one, you're welcome to leave a comment, let me know. Or just leave a comment to say hello to keep me from feeling so lonely. Okay, waves and beats, binaural beats. And I basically layer the other visualization with this one, composite them together in that video. I'm trying to zoom out. Yep. I had to click on the background. Let me get this out of the way. So it's basically the same wave setup that I just showed you. Plus, we have binaural beats. Basically, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. 4 different frequencies at which 4 different frequencies with the left and right channels slightly detuned to create a 4 cycles per second delta wave pattern. Here's the channel for the one. I have them subgrouped, the waves and the beats here, so I can turn up the binaural beating here like this. And throughout the hour-long sound experience, I also do utilize harmonics based on this fundamental frequency. And I take them in and out. And then some points I like to use the lower tone and the upper tone and apart from each other, so you hear beating between these 2 different tones. And it is something that, you know, to be effective, it requires headphones. But they settle right in with the ocean waves, so it's not like some of the other binaural beating things out there where all you hear is the tone, and it's just like sine tones right there with nothing else. And basically you can still perceive the beating, so the hemispheres of your brain will still receive that 4 cycles per second pulsing. And yeah, it's still effective. It's just you also have ocean waves to keep you from, you know, getting annoyed by just hearing tones. The tones settle into it. And then we have here with the, well, I call these tones, I call them ASMR tones. But here's all 3. And we use a slightly different city landscape for this one. But basically here, we have our waves and our binaural beats up here. But here, we have 4 macro oscillators with ADSRs from Bafaco shaping them. And some of the parameters do get altered with an LFO adjusting them. But basically, they come via chance. For example, here's a low tone. Turn it on. And at first it starts slow with just a few nodes. Then I gradually add other generators. Now let's add some binaural beats. Here I have to use a sub mixer. I decided not to go with the 16 channel mixer, but use this instead. So here's a low tone. And I add nodes to vary the music a bit. And so I vary the texture throughout the piece. You know, go to, build things up and bring them back down again gradually. Drop in another node. And we begin again, But anyway, you can hear the piece itself and let me know what you think. There we go. So anyway, all three of those are up. Waves, and there's waves with binaural beats. And then there's waves with the binaural beats plus these tones. And so, check them out. Hopefully it'll help you relax. If you meditate, it might help you with that. If not, hopefully it'll help you sleep at night. I have all three in the playlist. Each one is an hour long. Could play through all three. And I'll be making more in the future, but I'd like to receive some feedback first before I make more, and you know, whether or not people would like longer ones, maybe like 2 hours or 3 hours as a session, or what, you know, what are people responding to the best, the ocean waves, or ocean waves with binaural beats, or this third option. So anyway, until next time, if you found this useful or entertaining in any way, please hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the pieces, or you know, how to make ocean waves, this video. Any questions, just leave them in the comment section. Until next time, take care and stay free.